Hello everyone, so I started this video a little bit late as I am already diving out of the sky in a game of PUBG, but I've decided that instead of just sitting there and doing commentary on the game the entire time, I would have a little bit of fun by discussing some mythology that I thought was particularly funny. So, first let me get on the ground and find a gun, and we will get started. I don't know where we're at. I don't think I've ever been in this area before. Probably should have stuck over there. Oh well. Anyway, so, mythology. I guess we'll start with one that people probably already know a little bit about, or at least might know a little bit about. I don't know if any of you were forced to study Greek mythology in high school, but I was. Which I can't really complain about too much because some of it is pretty fascinating. That's, not to say all of it is. Some of it's actually pretty generic and boring, but 12 Labors of Hercules. They were all a little bit weird, but it's a good jumping off point. So towards the end of his labors, he was tasked of going and getting, I believe, some golden apples of some kind, around the ends of the earth. And when he showed up, which actually, another part of the story that was really funny is as he was walking, he got really hot because of the heat of the sun, and in a fit of rage, he literally launched an arrow at the sun. And keep in mind, in Greek mythology, the sun is being carried on the back of a chariot owned by a dude named Helios is what his name is. I think Helioid is the MTG knockoff version of it. Anyway, he shot he shot at the sun, which would be pretty much the same thing as shooting at the god of the sun. And instead of getting mad, he was just so impressed by the shot, Helios was, that he was like, "Dang, dude, you got some pent-up anger. How's it going over there?" He's like, "Man, I've got to walk all the way to the ends of the earth so I can go get some stupid golden apples." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm heading towards the end of the earth myself, so if you'd like, I can just go ahead and let you borrow the chariot." And he was like, "Yo, rad." And he took it. So he shows up at the, where am I right now? I'm on the outside of the circle. So he shows up, finds the tree with the golden apples, and he's like, "Well, I can't get those." And he looks over and he sees Atlas, who was the god who was tasked with holding up the sky. And at this point, Atlas has been holding up the sky for such a long time that he's just excruciatingly bored, and he will take whatever he can to get out of it. And so Atlas looks over to Heracles is what his proper name is. Looks over to Heracles and was like, "Dude, if you want, I'll go ahead and pick those apples for you. Just do me a favor and hold up the sky." And he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And so Heracles goes and holds the sky for a few minutes while Atlas picks some apples. And Atlas is all like, "Man, my back has been so stiff all this time. I would absolutely love to not have to hold up that stupid sky anymore." And he's like, "Wait a minute, this sucker's already holding up the sky. Well, I guess I'll just bounce." And so he starts walking away, and Heracles is all like, "Dude, where are you going?" He's like, "Oh, I figured I'd just go deliver the apples for you." He's like, I don't know about that. Because, he's not stupid. He understands that this god's trying to trick him into taking his job. So he decides to pull a 180 on him and goes, "Tell you what, I would be really grateful for that. But before you head out, would you mind coming over here and holding the sky just for a second so I can adjust my cloak? It's kind of in a funky position." And Atlas is like, "Yeah, sure, why not? Makes sense to me." And so He comes over, takes the sky from Heracles, and then Heracles just grabs the apples, hops back into the chariot, and pulls a "see ya, nerd" and gets out of there. And so, honestly, that was just the funniest part right there. It's just that this god tried to trick him into taking over his miserable job, and Heracles is like, yeah, here's the thing. If you're going to try to outsmart me, you need to be smart enough to, not fall for your own trick. It was pretty solid. So yeah, that was one of my favorite Heracles stories. I also really like the one where he bent a river, because that's totally something that happens. The Greeks came up with some really interesting ideas for some of their mythology. I'll give them that. All right. I wonder if my teammate called that package over or not. If not, I'm totally stealing it after I kill whoever did call it. It's on top of a house. Okay, yeah, someone's going over there. We're gonna go cap him. Possibly. I think everyone's gonna fight over it. Where are you going, dude? Oh, I shot him. Well, my teammate just got KO'd, so... Wait, why is it over there? It was just on top of this roof, wasn't it? What in the world is going on? Where's the box? I want the box. Oh, wait, hold up. It is over here. How are you supposed to... Well, it is not worth the effort, which would explain why the other dude was running away from it. Alright, so yeah. Back to mythology. Another really funny one that I only recently found out was the story of how Maui lassoed the sun. If you've seen Moana, you know that in his You're Welcome song, he mentions a lot of different feats, and they're actually all based off of legends of Maui. Now, one important thing to understand is Maui didn't actually work alone. He was just the most famous because he was the one that had the magical fish hook. Which, by the way, I believe was made from the jawbone of his mother? Oh, dude, I just got capped. Let's see if my buddy decides to help me out. Or if I die beforehand. These guys know I'm hiding here, so... I'm just gonna give a little help. Help cry, help! I don't want to die. Well, that guy's down. But can someone please just, keep me from dying here? That would be really nice. Yo! Over here! Over here, bro. Why are you going upstairs, dude? Alright, well, while I wait for one of my teammates to decide whether or not they want to be merciful, or just, die because somebody else is killing them, back to what I was saying. So, Maui had 4 brothers, and they typically helped him out on a lot of his adventures. Although they were kind of more or less indirectly responsible for his death as well, but I'll discuss that at a later date. Come on, dude, just come downstairs and help me. So the way that it played out is, for a while there, the sun was moving way too fast across the sky. I'm done for. I don't know why it was moving so fast, but apparently at some point in time the sun was moving so fast that they couldn't get enough daylight to complete anything that they needed to get done. So what Maui did is he told his brothers, hey, I've got an idea. How about we make some rope and we lasso the sun? And we'll force him to slow down. And his brothers were all like, dude, that's not going to work. And Maui's like, dude, I'm Maui, of course it's going to work. And they're like, okay, well, how do we even find the sun? And he's like, I don't know, but I have a general idea. And so I mean, details aside, they kind of eventually just went along with it because it's Maui. What are you going to do? Argue with him? No, you're not going to argue with him. You're going to listen to the dude with a giant magical fish hook that can transform into whatever he pleases. Anyway, so they spent a couple days making the rope, and then they decided to, only by cover of night, so the sun wouldn't guess what they were doing, walk towards his lair on the other side of the world. And they eventually get there. It's a giant hole in the ground. And... no. I am not following anyone, because you guys always take me to death. If someone else wants to follow me, great. Otherwise, no. Where are we going to go? I think a lot of people are probably going to jump at this military base because people always do that. And I'm not going to be involved in that. I'm going to go over here to Chinky. Anyway, so they get to the lair of the sun. They pile up a bunch of dirt and rocks. That way the sun can't see them. And then they hide behind this giant dirt wall thing. And while they're there, and waiting for the sun to come up, Maui is telling them the plan. All right, here's what's going to happen. When the sun comes up, I want you to lasso it, and then I will go ahead and take care of the rest. And so they wait until the sun starts peeking up over, and they can see its eyes and teeth, and then they throw the ropes around the sun, the different jagged edges of the sun, I guess, and hold it in place. And before the sun has a chance to react, Maui jumps up and hits it really hard in the head with his fish hook, and then proceeds to continue hitting it with the fish hook so much that the sun's like, dude, knock it off, you are literally going to kill me. And he's like, no, I'm not going to kill you, but what I am going to do is force you to slow down. So in essence, Maui went up to the sun and said, look, you are moving way too fast, so I'm going to give you brain damage so you'll chill out enough for us to actually make use of you. He literally gave the sun brain damage. It's kind of messed up. I mean, yeah, people are shooting me outside. Why not play a minigame? Ah! There's actual gunfire out there. That's not good. I don't have any armor. I don't have anything. Neither does that guy. Why did I give away my position without a solid chance to kill? That was stupid. Oh, hey, one of my teammates is here. Oh, hey, cool, scopes. Well, I'm sure that'll be helpful later. If I can get a sniper. I love sniping. You know, I've got to say, what's as funny as some of this mythology is, a lot of it seems to be focused on being central to, like, the way the world works. Or it backs up other mythologies. Like, for example, the next one I want to discuss is the origin of Mjolnir, the hammer that Thor carries all over the place. I think most people would look at that and go, why in the world is it so short, right? And there's actually an answer, and it comes down to when it was being made. See, believe it or not, it's a defect. Again? Man, I cannot feel myself playing this game without just completely losing all the time. Let's see if I can't get one of my bros to come save me, or if they're just gonna do the usual thing of let me die. Oh, no. Sweet, 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 sweet. Hey, dude, over here. Shoot. Ah, so close. Okay, naked person's butt. That's very nice. Alright, onward to Game 3 and Myth 3. I don't remember if towards the end of the last game I was discussing it or not, but Yeah, Mjolnir, that hammer of Thor's, it's actually not supposed to be that short. And again, it all comes down to the way, comes down to the origin. In short, both in its creation as well as its short handle in general is the fault of Loki. Loki's a trickster god. I know there's a lot of people who have only seen him in Marvel movies and don't realize this, but yeah, Loki's not only a trickster god, he is like consistently a jerk. Like, the things that he thinks are pranks are very wildly unfunny. Like murder, like murdering by far the most popular god in the entire Nordic mythology pantheon. Why he thought that was funny is beyond me, but he did. That's for another day. That's not what we're talking about. Today we're going to talk about a time in which one of his lesser known pranks really came back to bite him, or almost came back to bite him had he not decided to pull a rules lawyer and, technicality and a bunch of other BS to completely avoid the consequences of his actions. So basically what had happened was he decided it would be really funny to prank Thor's wife. I think her name is Sig, off the top of my head is what I think her name is. But apparently she had really beautiful, long, golden, flowing hair. And he decided it would be really funny to come and chop all of it off while she slept. Which, isn't actually all that funny. So she woke up, she was devastated, and Thor, being the, very cool husband figure that he is, told Loki, dude, I am going to completely knock you out over this. I am going to knock you off your block. What the hell were you thinking? And Loki's like, okay, now, I can see you're mad, which, by the way, is hilarious, but tell you what, I'll see what I can do about getting it replaced. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. If you can replace the hair, her hair, I won't completely knock you out. And he's like, okay, fair enough, I got it. So, keep in mind that dwarves were originally part of Nordic mythology, and they, in the world... Anyway, they were the expert craftsmen of the world. They could pretty much make whatever the heck they felt like, apparently including hair. So Loki goes to the land of the dwarves, which has a separate Icelandic name that I definitely can't pronounce. And he goes up to this one pair of dwarvish brothers and was like, yo, dude, I heard this one pair of dwarvish brothers, dwarvish brothers, the ones that are your rivals, yeah, they said they could totally beat you in this competition of making gifts for the gods. And they were like, what? They said that? Pfft, nuh-uh. We could totally beat them. There's no way in heck they could stop us. No. We are the superior dwarvish craftsmen. Everyone thinks these guys are, but they're not. We are way better than them. And Loki's like, okay, I understand. Tell you what, how about this? I will actually arrange a competition where you make 3 gifts for the gods, and I'll have these other guys make 3 gifts for the gods as well. And they're like, all right, bet. And he's like, but I'll tell you what. One thing you really ought to consider making is some long golden blonde hair. Like, as good as Sif. Like better than Sif's hair. And so that's how he managed to take care of that hair problem. But now he had the other problem of actually making a competition exist for them to actually compete in. And so he goes to the other dwarves that he told the first set of brothers had challenged them, and it was like, dude, these dwarves over there, yeah, they said they could totally outcraft you. And they're like, they can, or these other 2 dwarves were all like, they can say that all they want, but we have already proven that we are the best. I don't really care. And Loki's like, yeah, fair enough. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't buy it. I honestly think that they could outcraft you. And they're like, oh, really? Well, how about we make a bet on that? And Loki's like, what you got in mind? And he's like, if we win this little competition of who is the best dwarvish smith, Mr. Loki, since you're the only one around here who seems to doubt it, we get your head. And Loki's like, okay, I guess. And so now Loki has gone from creating himself a problem to solving it, while also making another problem. And to solve that problem, he had to go and make himself yet another problem. So, the competition went as follows. There was a certain amount of time in which they had to craft all of their cool little toys to give to the gods. The first set of brothers made the golden hair for Sif. Then they made the spear. I don't know, wait, did they make Odin's spear? I don't know. I remember that they made something for Odin, because both pairs of brothers did. And I think theirs was the spear that will always pierce anything that it touches, so armor doesn't stop it, hide doesn't stop it, fur doesn't stop it, and if you throw it, it'll always hit its mark. And the final one made by those brothers, I think, was a golden boar. Off the top of my head, I think that's it. And then the other brothers presented a golden ring to Odin that would duplicate itself every 9 days. So essentially, it was just free wealth. They made a napkin that, when unfolded, turned into a giant sailboat. And then they made Mjolnir. Now, here's the thing. During the crafting process, Loki noticed that all of the other gifts that these two brothers, the superior brothers, had made were actually significantly greater than the other ones. I gotta shoot this guy down. Yeah, that's what you get. You shoot at me, dude. Why are you wearing leather pants? Why does a digital game have super defined butts? I'll take the painkillers. Alright, so that's one death down. How are there only 35 people alive already? That's wild. Anyway, so while Mjolnir was being crafted, because Loki realized that he needed to tip the scale in his favor so he didn't get his head cut off, he transformed himself into a small black fly. And he goes and he starts messing with the dwarf. Now, these guys are absolute precision perfectionists, which is why all of their stuff is so wildly good. So they had to keep the fire at a consistent temperature, which meant operating the bellows in a way that makes it so the flame is never too hot and does not cool off at all. And so the one main dwarf who was in charge of actually crafting Mjolnir was on top of his game. The fly came up and bit him on the arm, and he didn't flinch. Like, he just didn't care about the fact that he just got bitten. He was so focused on making sure that his craft was perfect that it was just kind of more or less a whatever situation. Then, later, the fly comes and I think bites his nose, maybe? I don't know, something significantly more irritating than the arm. But that doesn't get him either. And then finally, he comes and bites the guy on the eyelid. And while that's happening, the bellows stop for just a second. And it makes it to where the handle on Mjolnir breaks. So, yeah, again, that was 100% an accident. However, despite this, when the gods presented Mjolnir, which had a ridiculously short and almost unusable handle, to Thor, they also said to Thor, yeah, it's got a short handle, but here's the deal. It'll always hit its mark. It'll pretty much kill anyone that it touches, and when you throw it, it always comes right back to you. So despite the fact that it had a short handle, it was still a superior gift in comparison. So, The first thing that I want to take away from how funny this is the most powerful artifact made by the dwarves and frequently used by the most powerful god in the Nordic pantheon was iconically short by defect. And that just never fails to amuse me. I really would like a sniper rifle. And second, you're probably wondering, how did Loki get out of it? Well, if you recall, I specifically said, and he specifically said, I should say, that they had won his head, but they had not won his neck, and they had no right to his neck. And everyone pretty much was like, yeah, technicalities are technicalities, but it is what he said. And even Odin was all like, dude, he's like the god of tricks and lies and deceit. Are you really surprised that this is how this went down? And the dwarves that had won the competition were like, oh, I really don't care about whether or not that was a technicality or not. It's still some Major League BS, and so I'm going to sew Loki's mouth shut. And so he did. But, I think the rest, if I remember, I think the rest of the gods tried to figure out a way to undo that. Because they were like, you know, Loki might be a jerk, but in the long run, he managed to give us some really awesome OPAF weapons that, well, to be perfectly honest, makes us even more OPAF than we already are. Because to be perfectly honest, Thor doesn't need the hammer. As a matter of fact, I know Marvel puts emphasis on the fact that Mjolnir can only be held by somebody who is worthy of it, but that's not actually the mythological case. Pretty much anyone can pick up Mjolnir, but most people, if they try, would disintegrate on impact because it's just that powerful. You need to have the ability to contain the power of the hammer, otherwise trying to pick it up will literally kill you. Either that or trying to use it. I can't remember exactly which one it is specifically. So yeah, another really interesting one that I wanted to talk about actually comes from a piece of African folklore. Now, unfortunately, I don't know the exact culture that it originally stemmed from. All I know is it was like a tribal legend of some kind. And I've got to say, it's wildly surreal, even by mythological standards. So, basically, there was, I think her name was Asani, or Anansi, I think it was the name. But it was a spider. Kind of like a spider god. Or no, it wasn't even a god. I think it was just, oh, crud. I'm gonna die. And I'm nowhere near any teammates, so I'm just screwed here. There's no point in fighting it. Who shot me? Anyway, long story short, he was given a task to try to capture 3 legendary creatures for this one god in exchange for access to all of the stories of the world. And the funny one is when he was walking around the bottom of a tree with against the legendary snake he was supposed to capture. And when the snake was like, dude, what are you doing? He was like, well, me and my wife have been having a bit of a tussle. See, I think that you're longer than this stick, and she thinks that you're shorter, but I don't know. Like, looking at you up close, I can't really tell. Like, it seems like it's a super close match. And the snake's like, dude, I can help you settle this. And so he gets out of the tree and lays down next to it, and he's like, it's still hard to tell, because every single time that you move upwards, your tail moves. And every single time that I try to adjust it, I don't know, dude. Hey, how about this? How about I actually just tie your tail to the end of the stick, and we'll just make sure 100% that you are definitely longer. And he's like, yeah, that makes sense to me. And then he proceeds to just take the snake up to the god of the stories. There were 2 other tasks he had to complete, but that was the one that really got me. He was like, hey, snake, how would you like to be tied to a stick? And the snake was like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever. Pride does not help you, ever. Anyway, that's about it. I still suck at PUBG, apparently, so that's about as far as we're going with this video.